Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Zodiac Bandit, and we're going over episode 5 of Critical Role Campaign 3. Um, this is a weird episode for me. I thought it was a good mixture of continuing the slow-ish pacing of the last episode where there was a lot of gathering of intel, but then they used all of the intel they gathered from the previous 2 episodes to find what they're looking for, the killer of Bertrand Bell. And yeah, thought this is a good episode. Probably not my favorite episode of all of this. It'd probably be like my third out of the 5, which is crazy. Because I'm stupid to friggin' be like, oh, this is the best one so far. But anyway, so I'm gonna do a quick recap as usual, and then we're going to get into more of my thoughts at the end. Starting off with, they're in this hideout for the Hubat corsairs. I heard Hubat and Hubat a lot, so I'm going to go with Hubat. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be wrong no matter what I do. We start in their little trap, or in their warehouse. I was under the impression it was a trap from last episode, but they just ended up in a talking encounter, interaction between one of the verbal figureheads of the Hubat corsairs, and I was expecting a fight, and this is where Travis would show up, but they just talked to them, and they look to see if any of them look like Duggar, which they don't. And it's revealed that they are inside the hideout. They don't like people knowing where they are, so they want some collateral. Honesty or their fingers, as I put it. The party talks to them, says we know what Duggar's been up to, and even we can give you some information if you don't know. So I'm just going to say Yash just wants collateral. That was the guy's name they were talking to, Yash. He wants collateral, so they give them some names of loved ones. Imogen gives up her father's name, and Ashton gives up letters, or FCG, and gives him the location that he's from, which is the Crook House. And then FCG goes, oh, I'm glad you think of me that way. Which shows he's got feelings. Just so we're clear. He settles for those 2 names after honestly, I find these characters way more chaotic than the Mighty Nine so far. Like, there's so much chaos and so many clashing, people here that this is Chaos Crew. And I hope that's what they call themselves, because I know they're not going to call themselves that, but they are totally, that name fits super well. Especially because, I think Mighty Nine sets some sort of precedent for chaotic acting in their groups, because EXU was really chaotic, and now these guys are really chaotic, and yes, 3 characters from EXU are there, but they are super, super chaotic. There are moments in every session so far where there is just pandemonium happening on, for a 5-minute period where they don't know what they're doing, they're discussing it, they think they have an idea, and then they don't, and then they do it again and then again, and I'm here for it. I really like that as a DM, sitting there listening as they're trying to figure out what the hell they want to do for 5 minutes at a time is gold, because you can sit there and be like, they're paying attention. It's amazing. And I can see that in Matt. He loves listening to them going absolutely batshit. His name is Yash Mangel, I believe is what he said. There are no leaders to the Hubat Corsairs, is one of the things we learn. And it wasn't a trap. They were just eating lunch, because this is their hideout. Duggar, for them, the Hubat Corsairs, disappeared for a few weeks and then came back and looked the way he looks now. And then eventually he ended up leaving the group. They also learned that he's normally at his house or in the Weary Way, which we know where he was in the Weary Way, and that he lives in the Core Spire. Yash / the Hubat Corsairs didn't know that Duggar was smuggling brimstone. And I assume that everyone's gotten on the idea that brimstone is what did this to Duggar, but we're not terribly sure. Yash reveals that he likes FCG, as we all do. Yash says they'll be friendly, and Imogen says, we'll give information, how do we find you, and they say, just come back here. and give them a secret code word. They learned the exact location of Duggar's house, on which part of the core spire they're in. By the way, last episode I kind of had my one nitpick was I didn't get a general sense of what this city looked like. And now Matt describing the houses later on, and they had a piece of art within the art gallery during, I believe it's the outro. I'm not terribly sure if it was the outro or the intro. I'm not sure. Which showed it, and I was like, "Oh, that's brilliant." I forget who the art was by, and I'm not going to use it if I can't find the name. But it was what I thought a little bit, and it was what somebody actually commented in one of my previous videos about what it looked like, and it's dope. If you can go look for that picture, it should be on the Critical Role website. It for me fixed a lot of issues I had with some of the, them moving about between the spires and moving between levels, and it fixed my visualization issue I was having with this city. So after they leave the Humpback Corsairs on good terms, they don't mention Esteros. They go shopping for potions. They get this talking stone, which I think can only be used when rubbing, because they didn't have it working at first, and then he told them rub it and then think of the person who has the stone. They find what they believe is Duggar's house. They initially decide they're going to look for intel. Well, this is where we learn that Orm doesn't like cops because he wants to wait at night to be able to sneak in, but most of the group wants to sneak in now. Laudna gives another amazing little nugget about her, is that she sometimes forgets there's gods in this world, even though she's a warlock, so she's got some sort of patron, which is hilarious. Imogen sneaks up toward the house and tries to use her mind sensibility to see if Duggar's in the house. She gets nothing, but she smells some disgusting odor. They decide waiting is a bad idea, so they go in. They have trouble getting in and nearly get caught by one of the guards, one of them cops that Orm hates. Laudna used, I think it was thaumaturgy, to get rid of one of the guards by making the sound of a rolling rock. The smell inside is some sort of gross, aging, mildewy, wet smell. At this point, I was like, is Duggar actually dead and someone is wearing his skin? And then Matt starts revealing more about the interior with some sort of weird growth in the wall, these weird sticky spots all over the floor. There's furniture tossed about as if it's been ransacked. They find a hole. Fern goes into it and she hears this weird sound coming toward her. She runs out and tries to block it, and Duggar literally squeezes his way out of this hole as if he's toothpaste coming out of the tube, which was fucking nasty. The way Matt's really good at describing things, and it fucking gave me goosebumps when he did it. And I have this weird, gross image of his face stretching a bit, and nasty shit. That's when combat starts. Some noteworthy things. I'm not going to go over all of it. Shea creepers appear. Imogen gets smashed early. She got hurt, I think it was the first round, maybe even the second round. She got critted and got very fucked up. Just another point, during combat, Marisha doesn't drop her amazing RP. She's living her best Hollow One life. FCG used command to alphabetize on Duggar, and on his turn he started alphabetizing his weapons, which was great, and I perfectly fit into FCG's shtick of being a nice guy instead of saying, some sort of weird command to put him in better positioning. He just decided to just waste his turn completely. Dorian goes over to another hole that they found, and he puts caltrops in front of it. This is amazing. I feel caltrops are super underused in D&D. One of my groups of, well, not my one group. I only have one group of players, and forever ago, they used it to like set up a huge trap with like a very elaborate trap, but the beginning of it was caltrops, and they were able to. It was very early in the game, in the campaign, so they were able to just obliterate it because it stepped on these caltrops. Because that had disadvantage, that was my ruling, because it was distracted by this as it was walking. It had disadvantage on perceiving where the trip wire was, so then it hit that, activated other traps around it, and it whittled its health away, and it's all because of those caltrops. And I thought it was very creative by my players, and Dorian using them is fantastic, because I love seeing people use items like that they wouldn't normally use. Instead of just waiting for stuff to come out and getting good attacks on them, he used something to slow them down. And it did damage as they came through. So, useful shit. Duggar uses something called Slippery Dash, which allows him to move away and not take any opportunity attacks. I believe it was activated when Ashton missed. And then he runs away from Ashton. Ashton uses some sort of gravity field to pull Duggar in. Is that a Genasi thing, or is that something completely different? I didn't hear that part. I just heard him say some sort of gravity field pulls him in. Duggar births a Shea Creeper out of his fucking back, which is nasty. Laudna and Orym got poisoned. Fern went down. Duggar is killed by Dorian. Imogen then goes down and takes 2 death saving throws. At this point, I'm freaking out because I'm like, are we going to have another early death? But Orym uses his action or his turn to slide down to Imogen, puts a healing potion that they got earlier. Luckily, they went shopping. Good idea sometimes. As much as I dislike watching shopping. And as much as Travis hates sitting there waiting for his character to show up, and they go shopping. Fern blocks one of the holes. FCG goes down after killing a Shea creature and pulling him towards himself. Or himself. And it blows up in his face, so he gets hurt. Dorian heals him. They block all the holes. Combat ends. They had way too many close calls in this combat, which I guess is kind of a balancing issue with D&D, with how many villains or enemies are good for X amount of players, and Matt probably has a very hard time making all these with 7 players. So, you take some, you lose some. And they almost lost 3. Nothing left of Duggar because he also exploded or turned into ash, except his weapons and a small pouch. They search the place, no hidden compartments, nothing overly left in his house. They start to speculate what's up with Duggar, like what happened, and I believe Brimstone gets brought up at some point. But the answer is probably down inside these holes he's been sneaking around in. Dorian, for some reason, wants to collapse the house, even though that's one of the entrances to where they need to go. So I thought that was a little weird. They try to leave, but there's a nosy neighbor who is blocking a clean escape, but Dorian charms him with, I don't know if it was charm person or friends, and if he used friends, doesn't that person eventually know they've been charmed? So they might have a problem on their hands with that guy if that's the case. Please, someone correct me if I'm wrong and he used a different spell. They go back to Estros and confuse him a little bit with what happened. He gives them the bounty for Duggar's head and lets them know when he hears more about the situation, and says that Bertrand Bell's body will be on its way to Whitestone soon. Which, if that happens, like, this is a question I have. If that happens, right? Pike is in there, right? It's only been like 38 years, so Pike should still be around. So if Bertrand Bell shows up dead, they can just resurrect his ass. I mean, that seems like a cop-out, and they might not, and they're most likely not going to do it, but why not? Bertrand Bell is somebody they partnered with before, and he's now old and didn't get his proper, lifespan. So Pike, in my opinion, in her character, would totally bring her back. So if they send her there, and they get Pike, he's back. Granted, he won't come back into the fold for this campaign, but to eventually get a letter from him that he's been resurrected might be an interesting thing down the line, because it's currently what has connected them as a group, like the current party. And then at the end, they level up. And I've decided I'm going to track their hit dice rolls here. I don't know why, because I don't know what their HP was beforehand. I didn't really pay attention to that. But Ashton rolled a 12. Dorian rolled a 5. Laudna rolled a 2, but took a second level on Sorcerer. FCG rolled a 3. Fern rolled 7. Imogen rolled 2. Orm rolled 6. And Travis didn't show up this episode. He actually tweeted out that he wouldn't be in it. So if you didn't see that at the beginning of the episode, which I didn't, I saw it at the end. Luckily, because that's kind of a spoiler. Part of the fun for me is not knowing if he's going to show up. And I don't remember who said it, but somebody somewhere said, what happens when, episode 8 comes around and he's still not there? He'll be back at some point. I know he will. I'm excited to see his thief character, or his rogue. Not going to be a thief. My buddy and I actually talked about it. We think if he's going to be a rogue, Swashbuckler might be an answer. But with Ford being so connected to the ocean, that seems kind of weird. So maybe he won't do that. Maybe he'll play some... I was thinking Inquisitive Rogue at first. Maybe play a more intelligence-based character with Inquisitive Rogue. Because what was funny about one of the things that was said in this session was Talzin said he was going to be a note-taker. Which, to me is... be a note-taker if you want to be a note-taker. But I believe if you're going to be that... the note-taker like Marisha was in the last campaign... It makes more sense if your character would be the note taker, and I honestly don't see Ashton being the note taker. But if that's what he wants to do, all for it. I just thought there were moments of Marisha in last campaign as Bo where she had amazing, in character, oh fuck, this happened because I wrote it down. And I don't see Ashton doing that, but who knows? He does seem like a calculated dude. Another note, I said in one of my previous videos that Ashton was, in my opinion, seemed deeply affected by the death of Bertrand Bell, and that's why he took lead. But after his semi-failure, he took a backstep in this episode, which made a lot of sense. And I don't know if I got the sense that he cared a lot in this episode, as much as I got in last episode about him caring about other people in Bertrand Bell. But I definitely still believe that his fuck off persona that he gives off, don't talk to me persona, is definitely some sort of facade still. I didn't lose that idea of him. He took a step back, and I still looked, when I saw it, he still cared. He rushed into people's aid during combat and pulled Duggar away from them and was like, no, you stay here. You can hit me, not them. And he was really, Talzin was concerned, but I don't know. I feel like Ashton's also concerned when someone goes down. So, yeah, I still think Ashton's fuck off persona is just that, a persona. It is, I want you to think I don't give a damn. Because then I'll believe I don't give a damn. But he does give a damn, right? He showed that a little bit with, saying FCG's the person I care about. So, and that's who he gave up as collateral. I don't think that guy would ever actually go after FCG. But overall, I thought that was a great episode. I thought it was lots of fun. And the only thing that I'm a little disappointed in is even at the end, they ran a little long, but I wanted them to at least introduce Travis. Travis has had less screen time now than Dorian or Robbie, and which actually makes me think that they're trying to test out Robbie and see if he gets a good reaction from fans and maybe he'll stick around, which I would love because Dorian's a great character and they need another healer. But Travis has 2 less episodes than everyone now, and he was only in the first one for half. So it's Travis being my favorite player in both the previous campaigns. It sucks not seeing him now. I'm excited to see when he does come in, but I would like to see him in the next episode, please. If not, I'm not going to be bothered by it too much because I love this shit. I'm enjoying every second of it. And my big complaint about this campaign so far has been abolished because of the way Matt described things more in this episode about the city and the image that they used in the city, which I think is it was a fan drawing, but that definitely cleared it up because there are people who are like looking at every detail of what Matt says and then they draw from it. And that picture that they had in the clips or in the art gallery was great. I thought it was perfect, and it showed off what I needed to see in the city to understand how they're moving about. And credit to whoever in my comments said this is what the city looks like. And they basically their paragraph on what the city was like was that drawing. So good for you for paying better attention than me. And yeah. So this video is going to be a tad late. Well, it's already late, but work for me had like a little Christmas party today, so I had to stay a little later. So sorry if you were expecting this at like 7. It's 8:40 for me right now. So yeah, that's it. That's everything. Please, if you enjoy this content, stick around because we're going to be here for a while. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.